Hello everyone. Today I wanted to share a deck I've been using in Constructed. It's mono white and it has just a few ultra rare cards, most of them are pretty common, and the concept of the deck is pretty simple. So let's go through all the categories. I've put them into specific columns to explain them. From the very start I have a Johnny's Welcome. I think this is slightly gimmicky and it can be improved for a neutral card that heals you at the start of every turn, but I have only this for now, so I put two of these in. I also use all three of my Leonine Vanguards. I think this creature is amazing. It's a 1-drop that becomes a 2-2 and heals you, which is of course awesome because then you get to buff this monster. And honestly speaking, this is one of the strongest early game cards ever because it demands a response from your opponent or it just becomes completely out of control. In the same vein, I've used Daybreak Chaplain, whatever the fuck that's pronounced as, to increase my lifelink, my healing at the start of the game. I also love the 3 health on this card because it's much more important to have 3 health than to attack. I was using a vampire before who was 2-2, but if I can't attack without losing my creature, then what's the point? So I am really enjoying this upgrade of sorts. In terms of combat tricks or buffs per se, I have 2 Knight's Pledge. I think this is slightly overrated, that's why I'm running only 2 of it. And 1 Moment of Triumph. I think ideally I might want to run 3 of these instead of Knight's Pledge, but I'm not really sure at the moment. It's just really important that it also heals because then it enables a Johnny's Pridemate. Finally, in terms of the low curve, I have 1 Novice Knight. I can't really explain this aside from a quick metaphor. It's like using a condom. Not as fun, but necessary. Moving over to my 3 drops, I have Danita, Kapashen, whatever the fuck, Paragon. Very strong creature, first strike, vigilance, lifelink, everything you could want, very good synergy with my combat tricks, and also, of course, having the first strike means I can play so much more aggressively, also vigilance. Kinjali Sunwing, sorry about these names, who made these names up? It's a flying dinosaur, it taps automatically creatures coming in, it's extremely dangerous for your opponent and they have to focus it or you have a tempo advantage throughout the game. Mentor of the Meek is a pretty sketchy card draw function. I have just one of him because I think he's overrated as well, but I decided to throw him in to try and fix the card draw issue for this deck. Militia Bugler. He basically has card draw if you can find a creature in your next 4 cards. This has been hit or miss for me, but he has vigilance, he has a decent body at 2-3, he's fine. Pegasus Courser is one of those cards that might win you the game, so I decided to throw 1 in. Imagine if I have a Johnny Pridemate buffed the fuck out of control and then I can make it fly with the Pegasus. I think this is a win condition and it's pretty cheap. It has a decent body at 1 and 3, it's flying, it can block some dangerous shit, so I decided to include 1. Now this is questionable as fuck. I'm running 3 of these Leonine War Leader. The problem with this card and the fact it is questionable is that it needs to attack or you don't gain all of the value from the 1-1 White Cats. So I think this card is not ideal, but considering all my threats at the start of the game, they should soak up most of the removal and I should be able to abuse this card to the fullest. Before I get to the final category, I want to take a look at my removal spells. I have Seal Away 3 times, Conclave Tribunal in case of emergency twice, and Take Vengeance because I have only 2 copies of this card, but this card is pretty unfair and I decided to put it in as well. Limited removal spells, but I'm trying to focus on creatures and being the aggressor myself. Finally, let's look at the win conditions of the deck, so to speak. First off, it's this angel. At the beginning of each end step, if you gained 5 or more life this turn, create a 4-4 white angel with flying and vigilance, of course. He can also buff himself for 5 mana with 2-2 and lifelink. It's a 3-drop. There isn't enough good things I could say about this card. I wish I could run 4 of them, but I just have the 1. It's an amazing win condition. History of Benalia is one of the cards I wish I had 8 of. It's just unfair. It creates two creatures and then even buffs them for no reason. It's unreasonable as fuck, and the creatures have vigilance because why not? Shawai, Voice of Plenty, another Angel. Unfortunately, I don't run any forests in this deck, so I can't abuse his special ability to put 1/1 counters. But still, giving all my other creatures hexproof means that if my opponent doesn't have the removal immediately when they need it, this guy is going to absorb it because no one else can take one while he's alive. He's flying, of course, because he's an angel, pretty amazing. I recently got this card and I don't expect people to have it necessarily for obvious reasons, but I immediately had to throw it in. It's replaceable, I don't think it's that necessary, but it's an extremely strong card, it's a win condition. It's ridiculous that this costs 5 mana, like Jesus fucking Christ. It's flying, first strike, lifelink, gives your other angels 1/1 and lifelink as if it wasn't bad enough, it was giving them 1/1. Absolutely dirty, ridiculous card, so of course I'm going to throw it in. And finally, Light of the Legion. More expensive than the Lyra, I guess, 6 mana, but still 5/5 flying, it's a mentor, because why the fuck not? Borrows anyone. When Light of the Legion dies, put a 1/1 counter on every white creature, and what do you know, we are running mono white. So these are my win conditions, this is my early game, these are the questionable Leonin War Leaders. Now I want to show you my favorite game from a constructed run I did recently, because it's pretty fun to play constructed. I hope you enjoy the game. Right from the start I have a completely disgusting hand. It's not really what I want to be aggressive with, but I couldn't pass up on 3 lands and so many useful creatures. And it's one turn down, my opponent has already let me know he's an aggressive red mono deck most likely. Now, I have nothing I can do on this turn except put down my Ajani's Welcome to heal myself for every creature I get to play, and I'm going to put down the Daybreak Chaplain. Like I already said when I was explaining my cards, there's a reason I like this card instead of a 2/2 Vampire, and this is one of the reasons. Using this 1/3 creature, I can block the 2/1 or even kill the 1/1 and survive, while if I had the 2/2 Vampire, he can just trade me out and I'll lose my creature. Now, I didn't block because he left his mana open and I just assumed he was going to use a spell on me, and I'm pretty sure that was going to be the case, or he could have sacrificed his useless goblin and killed my creature anyway. Now, on this turn I wanted to put down either the angel or the bird. I end up deciding the bird because I want to get a tempo advantage or force him to use the spell already, which I'm pretty sure he has. Keep in mind that every turn I can buy for myself, I'm winning with health, because when you're playing against a burn deck, it's very important to keep healing yourself and keep trying to block. But my opponent seems to have the God Rose. He plays the Goblin that basically swipes your entire board, and now he's going to take out my bird by sacrificing his goblins. This sucked a lot at the time because I thought I was going to lose, like you would, but my opponent got slightly overly aggressive. I think he just assumed the game was over at this point because my board is empty, what am I supposed to do? I end up deciding to play the Leonin War Leader. In hindsight, I'm not sure if this was the right choice, but I wanted to get a nice big body out and try and stop one of the creatures. Unfortunately, my opponent has a god hand and so many creatures, I can't even block this anymore because I can't afford to lose the Leonin War Leader. Now, my opponent has played his entire hand, which on one hand actually makes me feel comfortable because I know there are no more surprises, but on the other hand, obviously, you don't want to be staring down the barrel of a gun with just one creature on the board. It's a tough decision which card I end up playing, but I want to use the Novice Knight because he can actually kill some of these creatures, and I end up playing Shawai, Voice of the Plenty because he's a pretty solid angel and gives me hexproof in case of emergency, in case my opponent gets a very lucky draw. Now, at this point, I'm not sure what happened next. I probably assume he got rid of my angel somehow, because with hexproof you can do a lot. Let's see what happens. I really don't recall because it was a wild game. yeah, so my opponent skipped a turn and left his mana open. I was very confused why he suddenly decided to stop, but this gave me a great opportunity to play my second Angel, get some more healing in, and now decide what I'm going to do next. For a second I thought about attacking with my Angel, but I didn't want to leave him any room to bullshit me somehow. In terms of that 4 open mana and the card, I didn't know what I didn't know what the first card was. It ended up being a creature, unfortunately. I thought he had some sort of spell ready or something. I'm too fucking paranoid sometimes. Now my opponent, I think, went at this point because he just got a ton of creatures, and technically speaking he's a rush aggro deck. I would say mine is slightly more mid-range, so in general he has to kill me, not the other way around. Now, he thought about it for a while, but ended up deciding to attack with everything. I block with the Novice Knight, and I'm sure I block with pretty much everything else. Now, I think here I'm going to lose my shall I Voice of the Plenty, the angel on the furthest right, because obviously my opponent has a combat trick. I think it's pretty straightforward to find out when your opponent has one, but still I thought about not blocking with Shawai, but then I decided I can't afford to take any extra damage. I'm against the burn deck, I have to sacrifice the creature even if I don't want to. He ended up playing a shock like I expected, and also boosting his runaway creatures. So I end up losing 2 creatures instead of just the one I had predicted, but thankfully for me, the Resplendent Angel, the 3-drop, is going to come in clutch. Now, he used all his creatures already, except the Goblin, I think. I needed to refresh my memory what this card even does, because obviously it was in the heat of the moment. And now I'm going to attack with the Leonian War Leader and finally get some cats, which are necessary because they'll give me some healing. Right now I was doing the math if I was going to die next turn, but hopefully and thankfully, because of the lifelink, I actually get to survive. So I take a little too long to decide, but still, math comes in handy. I get a Johnny's Welcome to heal me, which is pretty clutch, thanks to the 2 cats. He's going to kill one of them, of course. It's the wise decision instead of losing the Goblin. And I bring my opponent down to down to 10. Now, because I healed so much, I managed to create an Angel, which is so clutch right now, because I'm out of cards, and these 2 cards on the left, the Angel and the War Leader, ended up saving my life, because if I run out of creatures, he just starts smashing my face. So right now I created a lot of problems for him to solve, and obviously he still has a ton of creatures, he's still in a pretty good position. I have only 1 to block with, and as you can expect, the next combat trick is incoming. I think I probably did the right choice, blocking the 3-3. Maybe I should have blocked the Goblin, to be honest, but yeah, my Angel ended up surviving somehow. I don't actually remember this, I was pretty sure, okay, that's why the Angel died. So yeah, if I had blocked the Goblin, I wouldn't have lost the Angel. That was a mistake from me, I admit, and here I was about to make another one. So, I was doing the math mana-wise, and I almost made the mistake, but I saw his HP, I did the math in my head, and I decided the best course of action, the only course of action for me, was to start racing, and my opponent did the math himself, and noticed that if he actually blocked one of the creatures that would kill his, he was going to lose anyway. I managed to clutch this game, barely by the skin of my teeth, but still. This is the power of the mono white deck. Thanks everyone so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed this showcase. I only showed 1 game, but I managed to get 4 wins with this deck, so I was pretty happy with it. See you on the next video, whenever the fuck that is and whatever the fuck that is.